thing has carved out a territory, and you are in it.
We're not leaving. We're gonna hunt this thing down and kill it.
Hunting won't work. It's too powerful. You trap it.
Outlander is an action-adventure sci-fi movie that was released on August 18th, 2008. I don't know if any of you have ever heard this movie, but I've seen it. So, let's see if it's worth watching. So the story is about a man from a far-off planet who crashes onto Earth in Norway during the era of the Vikings. He brings an alien predator known as Morwen with him because they unexpectedly came on his ship. The man is named Kanan, and he forms a shaky alliance with the Vikings. I will say the idea for this movie is a really fucking good idea. Combining aliens and Vikings is a really fucking cool idea. However, the execution of it was pretty lackluster, to be honest. I feel like this movie puts its fingers in way too many pies. Alright, you know how much I hate the cliche of a main character having a wife and kid and it not really affecting the story in any fucking way? Well, this movie does that cliche, but this time it really hurts the story. But I will get into that. Second of all, it tries to bring in the ethics of war into the plot every time we get dialogue like this, it feels shoehorned in. The entire story blatantly contradicts that theme. You cannot introduce the horrors of imperialism when the aliens are pretty much the fucking sick monsters the characters believe they are. What you are trying to say is not compatible with this story. We fit the theme to the story, not the other way around. It's not just the aliens too. The theme is present within the Viking side of things too. That whole thing with Wulfric wanting to kill Gunnar was poorly handled. It is so clumsily written that it is hard to tell who you're supposed to root for. Now, are there any elements that I like? Well, yes, actually quite a bit. I like the characters of both Wulfric and Freya. Wulfric is a badass Viking warrior, and so is Freya. She really starts to bond with Kanan, and it does turn romantic. On paper, this is a good idea. But as we all know, the execution is iffy. Now, the scene with Kanan telling the story about his home world and how he feels guilty about everything he has done is supposed to be this really emotional and thought-provoking scene, but it just comes across as really bizarre. First of all, Kanan literally has no reason to feel guilty about killing the Morwen. The Morwen are not some alien creatures with emotional intelligence, say like orcas, and nothing else. Who are captured by humans. They are mindless monsters who want nothing but destruction and really nothing else. I guess when Freya gives Kanan the sword and tells him to write his own tale, she means to tell him to not feel guilty about it, but the writing is so weird that the meaning was kind of lost. But another thing I like is that Freya wants to come with the Viking men, but Kanan is the one to tell her that she can't come. Why the hell do you like that, I hear you say? It's not for the reason you think. It is because the Vikings don't even argue with Freya to consider what Kanan is saying. How is this relevant? It is actually historically accurate. The Vikings were actually one of the few groups of warriors in history that were not sexist. That was a really fucking smart decision the writers made. The first one they made in a while. I don't really know how to segue into this next point I'm going to make, so I'm just going to go ahead and spoil the ending. If you want to watch this movie, which I don't know why you would, considering I've been pretty goddamn harsh with it, skip to the timestamp in the description. So basically, what happens is that Kanan destroys the aliens, Wulfric dies in an admittedly a pretty effective scene, and Kanan gets a chance to go back to his home planet. But as the ship comes down, he destroys the beacon and remains on Earth to live with the Vikings. This scene would have been an emotional powerhouse and been really fucking good if it weren't for the fact that Kanan has a wife and kid who are still alive from what I can tell. So this ending makes Kanan seem like he is fucking them over and making him look like a total dickhead. Okay, how would I fix this movie? I would have Kanan not have a wife and kid and drop the whole ethics of war angle. These things do literally nothing but hurt the story. Oh, but some may call it unoriginal. As I've said before, originality is overrated. Do those two things and you're good to go. Oh, and maybe make the action scenes better too, because the action scenes are honestly not that great. A lot of them are in the dark with not much to light up to let you see what's going on. I guess there are some satisfying deaths with swords. There are some explosions. I will say the action at the end is pretty damn good because it has the benefit of being during the daytime. This movie was rated R, however, there's surprisingly very little gore in it. I think R was way too harsh of a rating to give this movie. Then again, it was made after 2004, and that is when the MPAA got really strict with ratings. But this is not really the movie's fault, it's the MPAA's. So let's move on to the production values. The cinematography has kind of a dark tint to it, which works really well in the Viking scenes, but it's pretty bad on other planets, so mixed bag. The editing, sound, and music are all high quality, especially for an indie film, but not really stand out. Overall, Outlander was so disappointing. This was an easy concept for a fun and entertaining sci-fi actioner, but they really fucked it up. I think there's kind of a reason why this one has pretty much fallen into obscurity. The story is just way too ambitious for its own good, and the action scenes are pretty lackluster. There are good ideas in here, but they are overshadowed by the bad ideas, and that are just trying to ruin everything, and they kind of succeeded. So yeah, I didn't enjoy this one that much. I'm not mad at it, I'm just disappointed. I give Outlander 2 out of 5 stars with the title of OK but lacks staying power. Anyway, I'm Spike Robot. If you like this video, you can subscribe to my channel, and feel free to support me on Patreon. Take it easy, on to the Freedom Jingos.